Hey y'all, it's Raj. Excited about this one. We're gonna do a walk around overview and review of the Fisker Ocean 1. Hey y'all, here it is. The Fisker Ocean 1. And this one is in the Big Sur Blue, which is a matte paint. And it comes with the 22-inch wheels, and we opted for these black ones right here. And that is just a great looking vehicle. And for those that don't know, Henrik Fisker is the CEO of the company. He founded it, and he started a couple companies. So this is his second go at trying to do his own, but he's known in the auto industry for designing some beautiful vehicles, even for other auto manufacturers in the past. And this one to me is no exception. Just a great looking vehicle, great style. And what I love about the Fisker Ocean is Fisker came right out of the gate with what I think is the vehicle that, or the vehicle type, which is basically the SUV crossover type of vehicle that does really well in the US. So I think this is a great first vehicle for them. And they've got others on the books already that they're planning to do, a slightly smaller one from this. They've announced like a small pickup truck type of vehicle. So they've got some exciting cars coming, but for now, it's the Fisker Ocean 1. And like I said, this one is the one which they're making 5,000 of these, and you can still get these on the website. I'm not sure if you can spec out a one anymore, but you can still get ones that are already spec'd out and are available for sale on the website. And the one does come with some additional benefits that are worth it, to be honest. And I'll put what those are at the end of the video. And this vehicle does come in 3 other trims. The Extreme, which is essentially the same as the one. The only difference is on the Extreme, you can actually spec it out now to come in cheaper than the one if you want, depending on the paint and wheels you pick. Used to be that you'd end up being more than the one, but Fisker has given everyone a $7,500 discount on the non-one models. And then there's the Ultra, which is kind of the mid-level version of the Fisker. And then there's the Sport version, which is the entry-level version. And it's a pretty good deal. I think you can get into that one in the 40s starting. And like I said, I'll put all the specs for the one package, and then as well as for the different trims here at the end of the video, and we'll go over those. But this Fisker Ocean 1 comes with a 113 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it should get you about 360 miles of range. So we'll test all that out in other videos, and y'all can watch those and enjoy them, hopefully. And hopefully we get close to those numbers, but that's great numbers for an SUV of this size. I believe Fisker claims that that's the most range for a vehicle in this segment. So that's pretty awesome. So here's the charging port. You just kind of push on it and open it like you do some traditional gas caps. And Fisker for now is on the J1772 and CCS charging outlet and plug. But they have announced that they're switching over to the North American charging standard, which is better known as the Tesla connector, and that'll open up the entire Tesla charging network to Fisker, which is awesome. So then you can charge there and at CCS charging locations. And I believe Fisker will provide a adapter when they allow J1772 chargers for the folks that have already taken delivery. But yeah, as you can see, just a great looking vehicle, and a couple of awesome things. The Fisker Ocean 1 and the Extreme both come with a solar roof, if you can see that. And that roof will give you about 1,500 miles of charge from the sun. There you can see the Fisker name there, but 1,500 miles if you live in a relatively sunny area and are parking outside. So I know that's not a whole bunch of range, but it's something, and it's a start. You know, that's what we're hoping these EV manufacturers do, is try things out, see what works, see what doesn't work. But eventually I'm hoping they'll be able to even improve on that. But that's 1,500 miles is 1,500 miles, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, let's pop open the vehicle and go inside and check it out. One thing I wanted to mention, which is a little disappointing for me, is the Fisker actually does not have a frunk. And really, you can't even open the hood. So it's got all the mechanics, the batteries, motors, and things like that. You know, like all electric vehicles, Fisker's on a skateboard type of thing with the batteries. But it's basically got the guts of the vehicle in the hood, like a traditional vehicle. But you just can't access it without having to pry some stuff open and get it open, which you can. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there showing how to do that. And Fisker said they did some market research saying that people don't use the frunks, which may be true, but I actually really do like them, and I use them quite a bit. And then over back here, all right, so let's get that trunk open, and you can do that from the key. Just hold that down and it pops up, and you can adjust the height that this goes up, and then it's got a button back here for you to close the trunk. So all automated. One thing I wanted to point out, Fisker only gives you one key, which is surprising. So no key cards, and not a second key. So if you lose that key, you might be in a tough spot. You got to order another one. I know they are going to do phone key eventually, but they probably should get that out pretty quick if they're only going to ship these out with one key. And the other thing they left out is there is no charger that comes with the vehicle. So you need to have that available and with you when you take delivery of the car, so you can get it charged without having to go to a public charger. But yeah, as you can see back here, plenty of space. I believe with the seats, the second row seats up, you get about 16 cubic feet of space. And with those seats down, it goes almost doubles or goes even higher to 32 cubic feet of space, if not a little more. So yeah, that's a pretty sizable back right there. And we'll do a video about storage and see what all we can fit in here. So just stay tuned for that. And another cool thing back here is Fisker's got a standard 120 volt outlet. You've got your 12 volt, old school cigarette lighter type outlet, and then there's just a blank spot there. Maybe eventually there's the potential they might be able to add something. But yeah, good looking back space, and it's got this cover, which this is actually additional. It comes with the one, but this is an add-on if you want to get this for any of the other trims. So that, you know, you can just kind of block some of your stuff back there. Yeah, so, and then we can just push this button to close. And there you go. And one of the things I wanted to point out, Fisker has a ton of these little Easter eggs on here. As you can see here, there's a little surfer girl back here, which is totally on brand with EV365. And they've got a bunch of those types of things all hidden around the vehicle, which is just kind of cool. It's like a Where's Waldo book. There's a rock climber in there. There's some ocean waves. I think there's some kayaks. So just a bunch of little Easter eggs hidden around the car. All right, now let's go in and check out the inside of the vehicle. And one thing I wanted to point out is how solid this car is built. And one way I always like to check that is with the doors. One, how does the handle feel when you pull it? It feels good. It feels strong. Does the door feel heavy? It does. When you close it, do you have to slam it to close it, or can you just push it and close it? And on these, you can see just barely pushing them, they close first try, which I absolutely love. It just makes the car feel solid, strong, like it's built nice. And when you're in there driving, it feels that way too. It's built like a brick. It's solid. It reminds me of our Mini Cooper SE, actually, which was built the same way. It was just very tight, very solid. Not a lot of squeaks. And one of the things you can see is that like all the seams and things on the Fisker are even. You know, these little panel gaps. Yeah, like there's nothing that needs to be done here for me as far as like needing to go back and tell them to adjust or tighten it. They just did a real good job building this. Obviously working with Magna has made a difference. They've done a really good job with it. Yeah, you can see all those. They're all even. So yeah, now let's go inside and check it out. So yeah, there's the interior of the Fisker. There's the door. And just beautiful looking. And I've got my my Rivian Chillowitz floor mats in here. The Fisker does not come with any floor mats, not even cloth ones. Not even the ocean trim. So that's another thing they kind of left out. It's interesting. I'm not sure why they left certain things out like that. The charger I can understand, but the second key and floor mat seems like something they should give, at least the cloth floor mats. But those are small things that you can work with. But yeah, great looking cabin. And of course, right off the bat, you notice that big center screen. So we'll play around with that a little bit. And just a lot of leg room on the passenger side. The driver, obviously, very comfortable. These seats are super comfortable, very nice. Let's take a look at the back real quick. And same kind of setup back here. Lots of leg room. I've already taken the kids for a ride around here. They had no complaints, and that was with us sitting in our normal position. You can see that shadowing from the solar roof reflecting on the back seats. And that's something a little unique. So if you get the solar roof, that's how your roof's gonna look. Which here in Texas, I'm actually all right with that. You don't get the clear top roof. So that would be a reason to opt out of the solar roof, is if you wanna have that clear opening at the top. But honestly, it gets so hot down here. Having that black on there is pretty awesome. And if we ever need to see the top, that entire thing opens right there. But just something to consider. One thing I wanted to point out while we're back here is if you pull that down, you've got your two cup holders in here. I've actually haven't messed around with this before. Oh yeah, there they are. You've got your two cup holders here, and there's also a control console. So the people in the back can control their AC temperature, and I believe they can even control the stereo if they want. But you can limit access to all that, obviously, if you don't want the kids messing around with it. And then you do have a couple of USB-C ports back here, and there's some vents and things like that. And yeah, let me just pop back here since I'm here and just show you that leg room. So this front seat is actually pushed back even further while I do the video than I would normally drive. And you can see for me, I'm about 5'9", 5'10", plenty of leg room. I can sit here with my legs crossed. It is just super comfortable back here. Get a view of the dash from here. Yeah, and you've got some hooks back here, obviously for coats and things like that. Let's see if these pop out over here. No, this is just protects the front seat. You've got some storage here, handles, and the little slot here to grab the door. But yeah, great back seat there. All right, let's hop in that front and check it out. All right, here we are inside of the Fisker. And one thing I wanted to show you, when I first sat in the Fisker, this is just another little Easter egg. You get a little message from Henrik Fisker himself. I'll let you check it out for a second.
I'm Henrik Fisker. Thank you for joining us in our shared vision of a clean future for all. And with you now sitting behind the wheel of your Fisker Ocean, you are part of that vision. Sit back and relax and get ready for the drive of your life. I'll see you on the road. Thank you.
Yeah, so kind of cool, nice touch. Just something that popped up, and I kind of enjoyed that. So just wanted to show you that. You can see the screen's loading up, and it's showing the Ocean logo. And as you can see, everything looks really nice. It's well done, which is really cool. So the first time you sit in here, it's pretty nice. Now I will say that
Hi, I'm Henrik.
Oh, there goes there goes Henrik again. So now we'll shut him off. There we go. All right. So as I was saying, when you first get into the vehicle, it feels really great, really premium. One of the things I noticed is that Fisker did a good job of kind of balancing a little bit of a minimal look, but still having some buttons and things like that. I would almost say it's not minimal, really. It does kind of feel more like a traditional vehicle in here because you've got a lot of buttons, but it's the buttons that I think you need. Obviously, you've got your window controls, you've got your lock and unlock. You can control your mirror from here. You've got some controls on the steering wheel, so you can control your phone and the volume of your radio. You can control the driving modes you're in, the cruise control, and down here, I'll move that down a little bit. You've got a set of controls down here which allow you to control the AC, the fan, so the temp on the AC and the fan for the passenger and the driver, as well as your defrost and your on the front and back windows. And then you've got this center button, which kind of is like your home button. It can take you back home, and it can also do something pretty cool, is you keep it held pressed and your monitor, your screen rotates. Now this is only available, I believe, on the Extreme and the One. Otherwise, I think it'll just come standard in this vertical positioning, but it's a cool feature to have. When you're at a charger or something, you can rotate it and watch a movie or videos. They still haven't given us the app integration to do that, but I'm sure that's coming. And then also, if you're coming from a vehicle that's got a landscape screen, you might feel more comfortable in that mode. The one thing about it is when you are in landscape mode, you can hit it if you're switching gears and stuff like that, or switching from drive to reverse and things like that. But yeah, you can keep it in that mode, and yeah, I kind of like it honestly in this mode, but that's all kind of a personal preference. We'll shift that back into the portrait mode, since that's kind of where it is usually. And the other thing, they added this small little screen up here above the in the front, and I do like having something in the front. I don't like it when there's just nothing there. And when I first saw this, months ago, I was like, oh man, it's too small, too simple. It's just like this little rectangle, but it actually is perfect. It fits right behind the gap in the steering wheel. Nothing on the screen is blocked. You can see it clearly, and it gives you all the information you need. You've got your range that you've got left, the percentage of your state of charge, what drive mode you're in, your speed, whether your parking brake's on or off, whether you're in drive or reverse or neutral, time, date, and the airbag status. So really not much more you need on that screen. It gets it all in there. It's really clear. So that's something I've kind of changed my opinion on. I think that little small rectangle is perfect. And one of the things I wanted to point out about the buttons, there are some things that you do need to get used to when you first get the vehicle, just like with any car. Yeah, since you can control the windows and mirrors and the lights and the wipers and everything out here without having to get into the screen and even the AC and stuff a little bit, that you would kind of think the steering wheel heating and the steering wheel adjustment would be here as well. Oh yeah, and you can control the seats manually as well without having to go into the screen, but it's not. So there's certain little things like that you just gotta get used to and know, okay, the steering wheel, I need to go into here to at least activate it to then where I can control it using the knobs on the steering wheel. But yeah, other than that, like on the interior, like I said, the materials for the most part are really premium, and it feels premium in here when you're just sitting here. The only areas where they kind of went a little cheaper on the plastic, and to Fisker's credit, they are trying to be as sustainable as they can with the materials they use. So that's the reason, I'm sure, for some of this. But the cup holders and the connections over here by the armrest are pretty, it's a pretty cheap type of plastic. This little silver bar that it goes across is a cheaper feeling plastic. Almost feel like that's gonna break at some point. Somebody pulls on that. And the handle to open the door is a cheaper plastic. It's not quite as cheap as these other ones, but it doesn't have that super premium feel. This needs to be metal. And that's something to any automaker I wish they would focus on, is the stuff that you touch every time you get in and out of the car, especially in a premium vehicle, needs to be premium. So this is where one thing that feels pretty cheap, honestly, and should have been metal. And then your armrest, the armrest itself is nice. It's quality feeling. It's got this faux leather, but it's kind of loose. And when you're leaning on it, it's got a squeak. And that's something every time I'm in the car, I'm going to hear that. So just little things like that. That might be something I work with Fisker's service to see if they can do something about that. Obviously the door handles, there's not much you can do there, but that's the only few areas where I feel like they skimped on the inside. Otherwise, it feels premium. Like this steering wheel is awesome. And this is obviously something you're going to touch every time you're in the car. And even the shape of it, I love it. It's got this angular shape. It's not just kind of roundish. So it fits your hand perfectly. And I do like steering wheels that have the top and the bottom, because I do drive like this quite a bit, and I drive like this quite a bit. And I do like these flat bottom steering wheels, and I'm kind of used to them now because I've had a couple of vehicles with those. So yeah, great feeling steering wheel. As I mentioned, the seats are very nice. This faux leather feels great. Super comfortable. Seating position feels great. So yeah, other than the few little plastics that they could have worked on, the interior of the vehicle is awesome. And then you've got your controls up here at the top to control your sunroof, to go into ocean mode, which we'll show you, and to control the windows. Yeah, so one of the things Fisker did some market research on, and it turns out what they came up with was that people aren't using their glove boxes. So they didn't put a glove box in here. And one thing I wanted to point out about the market research that they did on the front, on their next vehicle, the Pair, they are actually putting a little like drawer type compartment in the front in lieu of frunk. So it's like a drawer that comes out. So I think they've kind of rethought maybe that market research. The glove box one, I kind of agree with that. Most of the time you're putting stuff in this armrest, and their armrest is good. It's got plenty of room in there. I think there's also there's some storage compartment here under the seat. So for like insurance and things like that, you can pop that under the seat. And this storage compartment, pretty roomy, pretty deep. One of the things though that takes up space in there, it comes with this taco tray, which is a cool feature. So you can kind of turn that around. So if you're charging or working or something like that, while the vehicle's stopped, obviously, you can pop your laptop on there. You can eat something on here. So kind of a cool little feature. I'm not sure if that comes with every trim or not. It would be, for some folks, they may not want this, and they would just opt for the additional storage in this armrest area. You've got your two cup holders. And one thing I definitely wanted to point out that Fisker nailed was right here behind the two cup holders, you've got two adaptive chargers with a little slot in the middle to keep your phones in place. And the phones do stay in place. The adaptive charging pads are grippy, so your phone's not going to slide forward, and they're angled up. And it works. I've had several cars where the adaptive charging does not work. These work on my iPhone in a case. It's got a mag charger, and it works great. So I'm happy with that. That's a big plus. They did a good job with that. And behind that, you've got a little storage. So if you rotate your screen, you can kind of access that storage a little better. But it also is kind of like a little hidden storage that you've got. And then even underneath this little center console, there's additional storage that you can access from either side. And speaking of that taco tray, I should point this out. They did not forget about the passenger. They've got their own little tray as well. So yeah, pretty cool. Some unique features. All right, let's pop into the infotainment a little bit. You know, I won't go into too much detail, just kind of tell you what all's on the screen. So on the home screen, you've got a shot of your vehicle, and you can kind of pick your cameras that you want to look at, which I love that feature. I've had cars where you can't do that, but this comes in handy a lot. Like if you're parking in a tight space and need to look at a certain angle, It's really good. I like it. And it's even got outside, you know, kind of 360 looking type cameras. So yeah, really good. And the image is crisp. And so then in the middle, you've got the camera, the actual shot of the camera that you pick. And then you've got your navigation and then your stereo controls on the bottom. And then you've got the hard buttons here, as I mentioned, for the air conditioning, for your vents, and to control the monitor. And then you've got a dedicated navigation screen. Close that. So it gets on your full screen there. And you've got your dedicated stereo or radio screen, music screen. Right now, the apps that come with it are Bluetooth. Obviously, you can connect to your phone. iHeartRadio, Spotify. You can connect to FM radio and TuneIn. And eventually, obviously, there's going to be more apps. So hopefully they get Apple CarPlay, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and all that. They are going to have Alexa integration at some point through a software update, which will be good as well. Because one of the things they didn't have in here is there's no home link or garage door controls of any kind. So for me, I'll be able to control my garages through Alexa because they are capable of that. But that's something to consider for folks, is that you may need to either carry your remote control with you or do some kind of aftermarket home link type setup, which there's some good videos on YouTube of folks already doing that. Then you've got your phone screen. If you connect your phone so you can access your directory and things like that. You've got your charging screen. And one of the things on the charging, when you're on level 2 charging, so basically charging at home, you're limited up to 32 amps of charging. So that's about 7.2 kilowatts an hour, which for me, I think that's perfect for home charging. The Fisker has a fairly large battery, 113 kilowatts. But you know, for day-to-day charging or even charging every few days, that's more than enough speed. And honestly, I don't think people should be pulling so much amperage for that long of a time at their house, you know, especially while they're sleeping. It's just safer to charge at a lower amperage if you can. I agree, it would be nice to have the ability to go up to 40 amps or even 50 amps. But you are limited to 32 amps on here. But on DC fast charging, where the speed really matters, you can get up to 350 kilowatts on the Fisker, which is great. That's the fastest that's out there right now. And so that'll get you charged up from 0 to 80% in about 30 minutes or less, or 30 to 35 minutes, I think is what they say. And of course, that's dependent on the charging station as well. Charging infrastructure is still improving, but we'll do some charging tests for you guys and see how the Fisker performs on that. And then the next screen is your full air conditioning control screens. You've got these buttons down here, but then if you really want to get into it, you've got that up here, and this is where you can control the vents. So that's one thing Fisker did not give you way to control, you know, with your hands. You got to get into the screen and then control it. So that's another one where you might think it's there just because you have all these other buttons, but it's not. It's in the screen, so you'll have to get used to that. Your heated seats. You can lock the rear controls if the kids are messing around with it too much. And the rear seats are heated as well, so pretty cool. I don't believe there's cooled seats in here. No, there's not. And then the steering wheel is heated as well. So, and then you've got your settings here, and you can do all kinds of adjustments and controls in your settings, and you can get back there and listen to Henrik again if you want to. But yeah, so that's the interior here. We've got your sunshade. It's kind of a unique one where it folds, so you can kind of keep it small if you need to, and then if the sun's really getting into you, you can fold it out to kind of a more traditional size. All right, y'all, so that's the first look at the Fisker Ocean One, and I've got to say I'm really happy with it. It's built solid. You know, there's nothing on the outside that I'm gonna have to work with the service center on to fix. There's no panel gaps or anything like that, and believe me, that is common when you're dealing with a new car manufacturer that's doing their first time vehicle. But you know what? It's part of being an early adopter. So even if there's stuff like that, I wouldn't say get frustrated. You know, for us on the Fisker, it was more software related issues that we dealt with. And I think a lot of people have dealt with some of this stuff. Is we got a warning that the ADAS system, the brakes, the emergency brakes weren't working, and that kept popping up. You know, we called the service center or the service line, and they gave us a solution on how to reset the computer, and that took care of it. And then I was having an issue where it wouldn't go into gear, which is another common one. And that one I got help from the Fisker community, and it seems like it's an issue maybe with the sensor on the seat, and if you kind of shift around, it'll get you there. And those are things like that seat one, that's something obviously Fisker is going to fix. So I guess my point of all that is, if you're taking delivery of this vehicle and it's your first EV, obviously it's your first time with a Fisker, don't get frustrated. That's just part of being an early adopter. So see the fun in it. Think of yourself as kind of part of the brand, and you're helping them figure things out. And then obviously if there's issues that just can't be dealt with, then yeah, that's something that's something different. But some of this other stuff is very common. So yeah, like I said, my first impressions of the Fisker Ocean One are very positive. I love that it's a crossover SUV type vehicle. I think we need more of these, and I think vehicles like this would do very well in the US. And like I said, it's built well and it drives well. So hope you tune in. We're going to do a lot more videos with this car. If you've got suggestions of things you want to see, let us know, put it in the comments. All right, we're going to go take this thing for a spin, and we'll put a video together of that as well and post that up separately. And it's a beautiful day here in Texas. We're about to hit the 70s before a huge freeze comes in. So what better day than to pop this thing into ocean mode? I think I got to push that up. There we go, and there y'all go. All right, we're in ocean mode, and what's cool about this is it opens every window in the vehicle, including that back one, which I forgot to mention. You can open that back one from the key and just toss stuff into the back. So just another kind of cool feature. But yeah, we've got the sunroof open, and we are ready to hit the road. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hang loose.